Dividing real numbers. Let's jump in. Essential question: how do my skills with multiplying negatives and using the distributive property transfer to division problems? So we already know how to do this, times a negative. We also know how to do this, distributing in. Now we're going to learn how to do these things with dividing. Let's go. A thought. Just bear with me here for a second. I want to show you something, and it's something we've already talked about before. If I do 6 times 1/2, that's like 6 over 1. I talked about how I can reduce before I even do the problem, and I end up with just 3. Also, I know that 6 divided by 2 is 3. So take a look at what's going on here. Whether I multiply 6 by 1/2 or whether I divide 6 by 2, it's 3 in both cases. Because, let's think about what's going on here. Multiplication and division. You know how they're opposites, right? Multiplication and division, they're opposites. We call them in the math world inverse operations. Also, we talked about in a couple videos ago how 2 and 1/2 are inverses, because when you multiply 2 times 1/2, they cancel out to 1. So I have inverses in the operation, and I have inverses in the number that comes after the operation. In other words, this second problem is kind of a not situation, right? Like, division is the opposite of multiplication, and 2 is the opposite of 1/2. I have a not. It's like I'm not going to the party, and so I end up having the same answer. Interesting. I thought I would do the same joke, but that's lame. Let's not reuse that joke. Let's forget about this. No pictures for today. Here's the dividing rule. I'm going to make use of the fact that I just talked about. To divide by a fraction, I reciprocate, which means flip the fraction and multiply. So here are some examples. 14 divided by -7 over 3. I have no idea what that means. I don't know how to divide by a fraction, but I do know how to multiply a fraction. So instead of dividing by this fraction, let's change the division into multiplying. But since multiplication is the opposite of division, to cancel out that opposite, I also need to take the opposite of this fraction. So I'm going to reciprocate the fraction. So see what I did there? I'm multiplying and I reciprocated the fraction. Let's multiply the fractions. 14 over 1. Let's see, the 14 and the 7 can cancel. It leaves me with -6, negative because there was just one negative. Nice. Same thing with this problem. Let's see, I don't know how to divide. So instead of dividing, let's multiply. But since I'm taking the opposite there, I also have to do the opposite of -18 over 5, which would be -5 over 18. So I did a not. I took the opposite of division, multiplication. I took the opposite of the second fraction, which is the reciprocal. Notice that I did not flip this fraction, the fraction in front of the divided by sign. I flipped the second fraction, this one, the one after the divided by sign. Okay, at this point, let's look for some areas where I can pre-reduce. You really want to get in the habit of doing that, so you're dealing with smaller numbers. I think I can reduce this 4 over 18 to 2 over 9. So my answer is going to be 2 times 5 on top is 10. 3 times 9 on the bottom is 27. And I know that this is positive because I have 2 negatives that are going to cancel to a positive. Nice. Taking an average. Taking an average involves division because if you remember, taking an average, which is a synonym with a mean, means add up all the numbers, add all numbers, and then divide by how many there are. You've done this a million times in pre-algebra and so on. Let's do it. Now I have some negative numbers involved, but it doesn't matter. I'm still going to add up those 3 numbers, 12 plus -8 plus -9, and then divide by how many numbers there are, 3. And let's see what I get. 12 plus -8 is 4. And then 4 plus -9 is -5. So the average is -5/3, which simplifies, if you want, to negative 1 2/3. Don't forget though, in this class, we really like improper fractions. So there's your average. Final couple problems. We need to use division with distribution sometimes. So let's look at this problem to start. These two problems are the sort of problems that you'll see in this section, but I want to tie them back to distribution to help you realize what's going on here. Because here's what people like to do. When they see a problem like this, they like to say to themselves, oh, 12 and negative 4, that reduces, right, to 3 over negative 1. So this is just negative 3y minus 8. And I'm done. But that is the wrong way to do it, because just like this distribution problem, this division has to distribute. This dividing by negative 4 has to distribute here and here. We forgot to distribute here the first time we did it. So, okay, let me just run you through how it works when you're multiplying by negative 4. Then we'll run you through how it works when you're dividing by negative 4. They're similar. When you're multiplying by negative 4, I know to put this in. Negative 4 times 12y is negative 48y. Negative 4 times negative 8 is plus 32. And I'm done. There are no like terms. Same with when I'm dividing by negative 4. When I'm dividing by negative 4, I could think of the top as in parentheses because it's kind of its own thing. The numerator, that's all one thing, and it's all being divided by negative 4. So I need to divide this guy by negative 4 and this guy by negative 4. It distributes. So 12y divided by negative 4, doing this one first, is negative 3y. Positive over negative makes negative, just like with multiplication, as long as there's one negative there. Negative 8 divided by negative 4 is positive 2. And again, just like with multiplication, if I have two negatives, they cancel to a positive. So this is my final answer. I distributed the division through. Let's look at this second set of problems. Again, notice how in one I'm multiplying and in the other I'm dividing. I want to set it up this way so that you remember to distribute the division. So if we're multiplying, I know to multiply this negative 5 in. Negative 5 times negative 20 is 100x. Negative 5 times 12 is negative 60. Very nice. Here I'm distributing the distribution. Remember, the numerator is all one thing. I'm distributing the divided by negative 5 to here first. Negative 20x divided by negative 5 is positive 4x because the negatives canceled and 20 divided by 5 is 4. Negative 5 divided by 12, can I divide that? It'll be a decimal, or I can just leave it as always as an improper fraction. It's going to be minus since I have just one negative. It's not like it's canceling. And it's minus 12 over 5. Like, I can't divide the 5 in. I can just leave it as a fraction, which is kind of convenient, right? No need to, go crazy and simplify. All right, summary. To divide by a fraction, you simply reciprocate and multiply. It's another not situation. I can cancel out opposites by doing the opposite twice. Also, remember, when dividing, you need to distribute the division. Otherwise, you'll get things wrong. Guys, thanks for watching. See ya.